Well, hello again, and welcome to the Straight A Nursing Podcast. I'm Nurse Mo, and this is episode 179. And today we are talking about the ATI TEAS with our sponsor for this episode, ATI. Now, before we dive into that, let's take a quick moment for our listener shout out. And this one goes out to Michaela, who says, I just wanted to say thank you for all that you do. I'm currently working as a phlebotomist, getting my feet wet while working on the last of my prereqs. I have heard such horror stories about nursing school. Finding your blog and podcast makes me feel like I'm not behind before I start. I enjoy the wide range of topics you discuss, and as a type A personality, I like your tips on time management and different clinical experiences. I believe there's no such thing as being over-prepared. Listening to the podcast makes me feel like my dream of being a nurse isn't so far-fetched. Thank you so much, Michaela, for sharing that, and I want to wish you all the best on your journey to become a nurse. So if you are thinking about nursing school or in the process of applying, this episode is for you. So today I will be breaking down the ATI TEAS exam with an ATI expert. I am joined here on the podcast today by Tami Kelly. So Tami, say a quick hello and share with us what your role is with ATI.
Hello, this is Tami Kelly. I'm glad to be speaking with you. It's a lot of pressure as an expert, kind of. But I've been with ATI for, 12, 13 years. And my role currently is on the admission side for ATI. And we do this lovely exam called the ATI TEAS. And that is in my area of expertise within ATI.
Okay, excellent, excellent. So yes, we're talking all about the TEAS exam today, you guys. And what I did was I received some really good questions from students about the ATI TEAS exam. So Tami and I are going to go through those so you can be really sure that you're getting the most reliable, the most accurate information about this really crucial exam. And I want you to listen all the way to the end where Tami is going to put me through some paces, put me through some ATI TEAS exam questions, and we've got a really great discount to share with you as well. So before we dive into those specific questions, Tami, can you briefly tell us what the ATI TEAS exam is, just in case anyone is listening who might just be starting this whole nursing school process?
Okay, so the ATI TEAS is actually the test of essential academic skills. And it was designed to evaluate a student's preparedness for nursing or allied health school. And it's broken up into 4 different sections. You have a reading section, which has 53 questions and it's 64 minutes. You have a mathematics section, which is 36 questions and 54 minutes to complete. The science section, 53 questions, 63 minutes to complete. And the English and language usage section, which is 28 questions, and you've got 28 minutes to complete that.
Wow. I took it so long ago that I just had flashbacks of that exam when you were talking about it. Okay, so one of the questions I get the most often about the TEAS exam is why? Why do schools even require an entrance exam, and why are they using the ATI TEAS so much? Okay,
so the ATI TEAS is there to help schools make decisions on candidates. And they are getting, and especially right now, they are infiltrated with candidates. So they need something that is measurable across the board that can help them decide which students probably are going to do well in nursing school. And we do have research on our test that students who do well on the TEAS typically do well their first year of nursing school. So it is an important test. This is one of our first tests we've ever created. So even when I started with ATI, 10, how many years? I say 13, it's probably more. This was one of our original tests. So we have tons and tons of data that has helped us, determine kind of help schools determine the cut scores on students and help them take them to the next step on determining admissions criteria for admissions into nursing school and allied health school. So this is just one piece. Schools should not be using it solely as their sole admissions criteria, but it just helps them cut it down a bit further.
Okay, got it. Very, very good. Thank you for that. Because students, they have to jump through a lot of hoops. I tell them, get used to it because nursing school is a lot of hoops. But this exam really does kind of test. Yeah. And it gets those students in there that are more likely to be successful because they have a limited number of spots and they really want to graduate these students because we desperately need nurses. So this is just a really great first step in that whole process.
And it's really expensive for a school. If they lose a student, if a student gets in and they're not successful and they drop out of the program, that's a revenue loss. They're not filling that seat again in that cohort.
Right. Yes, exactly.
That's why this is so important.
Yes. Okay. So I took the TEAS exam, a while back. Let's just say that. So when I took it, it was pencil on paper. I imagine it's probably changed a bit since then. Can you tell us a little bit about what that testing experience is like? Remote, online, testing center. How does it look these days?
Yeah, we've got a bunch of different options. COVID just changed everything. So what we have now currently is you can test through ATI, and that is only through remote. So using an ATI proctor, it's the same test wherever you take it. So it doesn't matter where you're taking it. It is the same test, but we do have options. So we have ATI remote proctoring, where ATI is actually proctoring the test. And then we have schools who are proctoring the test, and they have two different ways. You can go in person, so live on campus at a school, or remote proctoring. And remote proctoring seems to be winning out on all sides. The number of live tests are still remaining pretty low. And I don't know when that'll start popping back up, but most likely a student's going to take a remote exam right now.
Okay, with proctored on their home computer.
Yeah. And then there is another option through PSI testing centers, and they are live. So if a student really wants a live exam, PSI is offering a live exam.
Okay, that's a good choice because, some students may have, a bunch of kids running around. It's not the best testing environment. So it's good to know that there could be an option for them to go to a place where they can take that, or maybe their internet's not super reliable, et cetera. So that's really, really good to know. Okay, you talked a little bit about kind of the 4 sections of the exam. Can you reveal anything about the format of it? Is it multiple choice, short answer, essay, a mixture? What can students expect?
Currently, it is all multiple choice.
Okay.
We are working on a new version of the TEAS, and that may be changing just a little bit. Not a ton, but we will start going to select all that apply questions.
Oh, students love those.
The students, pre-nursing students get used to it because that's all you're going to get in nursing and allied health school. That's the NCLEX.
Yeah, so, I was going to say, and at the bedside, there's never just 4 choices, you guys. There's about 500 things that you have to think through. So you're selecting all that apply in real life all the time. So it's good prep. I love that.
Yeah. So currently, and then the new T7, we are planning on launching that in June of 2022.
Okay, very good to know. Okay, so something that somebody asked about the TEAS, which I thought was interesting, was, I guess there's this rumor, I don't know, student perception that it's harder than the HESI exam. And the HESI exam, you guys, is another kind of entrance requirement exam. Can you speak to that at all?
Yeah, no, I've never personally taken the exam. I don't think we've done a formal evaluation of the exam. I've seen student comments that the HESI is easier than the TEAS, but students don't get a choice. It's the school's choice whether they give the HESI or the TEAS. So unfortunately, you can't say, I want to take the HESI unless the school accepts it.
But I think there's a benefit to it being more rigorous, wouldn't you say? I mean, I know students might not realize that, but I think there is a benefit to taking an exam that's really going to test your ability to be successful.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And just the preparation alone. I mean, I think that's part of why students are successful. It's because they are reviewing, they are getting that background and
Yes.
getting ramped up to actually start school. So absolutely. And they're not getting rid of us. ATI is just the TEAS is just the first step of ATI in nursing school. We have a lot of tests for you coming up in a lot of our schools.
Yes, they're coming up, you guys. So what Tami's talking about is if a school uses ATI for their entrance exam, they are most likely using it as an exit as well, which means you get to take ATI tests all throughout school. And I have to say, they prepared me for the NCLEX like nothing else. So I'm a huge, huge fan about that.
And they're all aligned. So
yes,
TEAS is taking pieces, we know what's coming up on fundamentals. So it's just that they're all work together.
Yes.
So that's the other piece of the puzzle.
Yes. It really is. It just all works so well. So let's talk about preparing for the TEAS exam. Students had a lot of questions about this. And one of the questions that comes up a lot, which I understand students are busy, is how much time? Like how long should it take to prep for this exam? How far in advance should someone start looking at studying specifically for it?
So our research has shown that students are most successful if they take about 6 weeks.
Oh,
so there's a lot of material to go through, and just really taking the time to go through the study manual or through our Smart Prep program. It takes you about 6 weeks to go through it. And, when you think about doing some practice questions, you're not just practicing taking questions. You should take the time when you're studying, take the time to look up terms, look at right and wrong answers, make sure you know that information. If you're really doing that, it should take you about 6 weeks to study.
Okay. That is excellent. Excellent. Good tip. All right then. So as for studying, I see a lot of students, they ask each other about various third-party TEAS prep materials. And can you talk a little bit about why that might not be the best option and what to use instead?
Well, we've done a lot of evaluation of, third-party prep materials, and some are good and some are not so good. One thing that I tell students to be wary of are companies that are providing a lot of free tests, free material. There's a reason why they're free. Developing test questions take a lot of time if you're doing them correctly. They should be measurable. They should go through multiple reviews. I mean, I can't tell you how many people touch our questions. So that's always where it's good to do, kind of do some practice, but don't use that as your sole study material free. I see a lot of things on Quizlet that are okay, but certainly have some flaws with it, and really don't get into deep learning either. You're kind of just touching the surface of studying.
Absolutely. And Quizlet is not vetted. I mean, anybody can put anything on there. So I would always encourage students to use with caution anytime they're using something like that, for sure.
Yeah. So, and what, of course I'm biased. What I recommend is our materials, because we do have the blueprint for the test. We've created the test, and we align all of our questions, all of our prep materials to that actual exam. So we have all pieces of it. We know what you need to know. And then we know what you need to know in school too. So we're not just thinking about the TEAS, we're also thinking beyond, what's going to make you successful in school, not just pass the test.
Right. Perfect. I love that. Okay. So what about scoring? Students are always asking, what is a good score on the TEAS exam? Like what they should be kind of shooting for?
That it varies by school. So we help schools determine a cut score that they should have, but every school is different. If you look at student comments, they're like, well, I only need a 63 or I need a 75. They've got to check with the schools that they're applying to, and every school is different. So unfortunately, we don't set that. We kind of look at a base level, but the schools determine their cut scores on their own. So I can't really say what one school may say, a 50 is a good score, where another school saying 80. So that's totally up to the school.
Okay. That is really good information to know. So kind of dovetailing onto that is maybe the student doesn't get their preferred score the first time. Lots of questions about taking it more than once. So I took it twice. I got the score I needed the first time, but I'm one of those crazy people who just wanted to see if I could do better. I didn't, by the way. I did much better the first time. So let that be a lesson for you guys. But let's say a student didn't do so great the first time and they want to take it more than once. Is this even possible these days? And what should they know about that before they assume they can?
Yeah, again, they need to check with the school. The schools are the ones who set their retake policy. And I've seen anywhere from you can take it and test again 10 days later. I've seen everywhere from you can test twice in a year. And the schools are monitoring that. They do get the reports on test taking. Students, like to use different email addresses and things to register. Sometimes that works, but systems are getting smarter and catching those things, and schools are so that's not working as well either. But you have to check with the schools that you're applying to.
Okay, good to know. Good to know. So you guys, there's a lot of information to keep track of when you're applying to nursing school and taking these exams. So I will put a link in the episode notes. I made a spreadsheet for you guys so you could kind of track your schools, their cutoff scores, their retake timeframes, all of that. So I'll put a link to that in the episode notes while we were on the topic. I didn't want to forget to mention that. So some students were asking specifics about how to study for a specific area. And I don't know if there's anything you can add to it, Tami, beyond, using those online practice assessments, the online test prep. But one that came up over and over again is the reading section. I think students assume because they know how to read that they can kind of wing it on that section, and then they do not so great. So do you have any tips for that area?
I wish I had like some quick tips or ways around it, but that's just practice. And it's getting into reading passages, making sure you understand the main idea. A lot of times for resources, if you need more, Khan Academy is always a good resource to go for some free areas.
Okay.
And just to say, in some of our conversations with schools, reading's going to become even more important.
Yes.
They're finding that students need to be able to decipher instructions from doctors. Everything is written down in systems. And so they're finding that that's a really important area that they're looking at scores at. And it's going to be in the T7, that's going to become even more predominant.
Okay, good tip, and good tip on the Khan Academy. I did not know about that they had some free resources for students, so that's great to know. Okay, let me see. I'm just scrolling through my questions here. Oh, okay, somebody asked a question about the math portion, and if you can use a calculator or if it's scratch paper only.
Okay, so a calculator in our exams, all of our exams, we have a drop-down calculator for the ones that are being taken at home or in a school. They're all online. They're done via computer, and we do have a calculator built into the exam. Now, if you're taking a paper pencil, there's not very many people giving paper and pencil anymore, but if you happen to get a paper pencil test, the proctor will give you a calculator.
Okay, just like a basic.
Do not bring one. Yep.
Basic
for
little
function.
Calculator.
Yep.
Okay,
calculator.
Perfect. Okay, that's probably all you need, right? You're not doing I don't even remember. Calculus, thank you. Like how long ago was college math? Okay. Okay, here's something that I thought was interesting. Somebody was asking, you kind of talked about schools and their scoring criteria. Can a higher T score make up for a lower GPA?
Again, it depends on the school and their point system for admissions. A lot of times it will. Okay. They'll put a weight to it. If you get your GPA is this, or you're looking at certain class scores. If you get a higher T score, a lot of times that will, but again, it depends on the school. And if they don't have it posted on their website, you want to know more, call somebody and ask. They should be able to give you the information.
Okay, great. And that's just another reason why it's so important to prepare and study for this exam.
Yeah.
Okay, you also mentioned when we were preparing for this episode about this trend about schools requiring CNA certification.
Yeah, we've been watching this more and more. And just recently, I've seen a lot of schools, Texas Tech is one that is requiring a CNA certification prior to the start of nursing school. And you're getting points if you have your certification at the time that you're taking the TEAS or applying to nursing school. So it can help you, give you a leg up to getting into a program. And you may find that it's going to be a requirement prior to the start of programs.
Okay.
With COVID's just changed everything with nursing school admissions, getting students experience. We've been cut out of clinicals for some time. This is just getting more experience for a student, and they know that the students are serious about, they've been through it. They know they're serious about going into nursing and allied health school.
Yeah, I think it's great. And it gives them, a little peek into what it's really like. Because a lot of times students have no idea, and then they get there and it's a little bit of a culture shocker. It can
and I'll tell you, my daughter is a CNA right now, and gosh, she's just killing it. That they're in such high need. If you're looking, if you have time, in between application and getting to school, I mean, they're paying pretty good money because they're just so shorthanded in the workforce right now.
Right. And if you're a CNA on a unit and you go to nursing school and you graduate, a lot of times, you already know the people and they already love you. So really good.
That is very true.
Yeah. Okay. And then a couple more questions. How does the student find testing dates and locations? Is that through the ATI website, or do they go to the school they're applying to get that information?
They need to check. First of all, they need to check with their school. Some schools handle their own registration and dates, and some schools have us handle it. So it depends on where they're applying.
Okay.
So like ATI Tech handles their own registration. So you'll be going to them, you'll pay, you'll register and do everything through them. But other schools are using our registration and payment system. So it just depends on the school. And also pricing is determined by the school as well. I know a lot of students ask about that. It's like, why is the TEAS more here? That's up to our price. To the school, our test is the same. It depends on, the school is charging usually a proctor fee in addition to that price. So that's where that fee is coming from.
Okay. That is really good to know. Okay. And before you embarrass me thoroughly with some sample exam questions, tell us about the really great discount that ATI is offering the Straight A Nursing podcast listeners.
Oh, this is fantastic. So right now with the Straight A Nursing podcast, we are offering 15% off any TEAS prep product. So that includes Smart Prep, that includes our online practice exams, and that includes our study manual. So, as long as you have that code, you'll be able to get 15% off your TEAS prep products.
Okay. And that code was just Straight A Nursing, correct?
Yep. That's
all
correct.
All one word. Okay.
All one word.
All right. That is an awesome offer. I want to thank ATI for sponsoring this episode, doing that for my listeners. That is great. I'm going to include the links to all of that in the episode notes for you guys so that you don't miss out. And that's good until...
I have November 30th right now.
Oh, so. November 30th. Okay. November 30th, 2021, just in case anybody is listening to this way after the fact. Okay, you guys, the moment that I have been simultaneously dreading and super excited about is Tami has some sample ATI TEAS questions for us. And I do fully intend to embarrass myself, but I want this to serve as a really great example of why you study, why you prepare for this exam. It is definitely not a situation where you are winging it, walking in cold, walking in unprepared just to see what happens, especially since some schools may only allow 1 attempt or 2 attempts a year. So it's a big deal. You really need to prep ahead of time. So I will demonstrate what happens when you don't prepare as Tami gives me a few questions. All right, Tami, so fire away.
When I first started with ATI, I was pre-med in college, so I've taken a lot of the classes, and I went in to take the TEAS just to see what it was like. I thought, this is fine. I mean, I completely bombed it. I was just like, I can't believe I did so poorly on this exam.
It can be humbling, especially if you don't study specifically for it. And if you're like me, I had been out of school for a while.
Yeah.
I imagine it might have been a little more not as daunting if I had just graduated from college or from high school, where all of that science and whatnot is fresh. But it had been a hot minute, you guys.
Yeah, so I had been out for a little while, but I was just surprised on that. So yeah. that's the one thing we hear from students is that the biggest mistake they made was not preparing.
Right.
Let's see. Okay, here is question number 1. Okay, so damage to which of the following sites will most likely result in the stunted growth of a prepubescent child? Physis, the shaft, C, the periosteum, or the endosteum?
Okay, I think I know this one only because I recently did a podcast episode where this came up, but I want to say it's the epiphysis.
Yes.
Yay!
Yes.
Woohoo! Okay, you guys, that's correct. Why you listen to the podcast. You learn things.
Yeah, and the thing I want to point out is so you have the physis. So is it physis? That's right.
Epiphysis.
So, epiphysis. So it's PHYSIS. Commonly called the growth plates. This region is the site of the bone elongation of the long bones. So, But the other things that you should do with this, so and this came straight off one of our practice exams.
Uh-huh.
So you have this, you have the shaft. So, look up what that is, see what that is. So damage to the shaft of the bone would result in misshapen bone. So, and then that's another term. What is misshapen bone? Bone deformity, the periosteum. So, look that up. So take the time when you're studying, you can do our practice test either as a true test where you just time yourself and test and see how you've done. But then also go into study mode and look at, I can't tell students enough to look at not only the right answer, but the wrong answers too, because
Absolutely.
There are nuggets of information in there.
So many good nuggets.
Will be probably on the exam. There's a reason why there's explanation on right and wrong answers.
Yes. Absolutely. Okay, I'm feeling good. Give me another one.
Okay, good. All right. The next question. Which of the following will occur if a person who has blood type A receives blood type B? So A is that B antigens of the surface of the recipient's red blood cells will cause the red blood cells to clump. B, antibodies against blood type B will be produced in the recipient's blood plasma. C, existing antibodies against blood type A in the recipient's blood plasma will cause red blood cells to clump. Or D, people who have blood type A can receive blood type B with no reaction.
Okay, it's either A or B. I'm pretty sure. It's hard without seeing the question written out.
I know. This is a hard one.
Yeah, I'm going to say B.
Okay, you got it correct.
Oh, I did. Yay.
Yep.
I would hope so since I give blood all the time.
Yes, exposure to blood type B will cause antibodies against antigen B to be produced. So, when you look at that question, you should pretty easily be able to figure out that D, take that one off the list. You know that people with A can't receive blood type B without any issues. So take that one off the list. So, when you're looking at multiple choice or select all that apply or any of those, you'll always have one that's like, okay, I know it's not that. And then try and narrow it down to two of them.
That's basically how I got through nursing school, was choosing between two answers.
Yes. And then, you've got a 50-50 chance. So, just take your time and know those pieces.
Yes. Okay. All right. That was a good one.
Okay. The next one. Which of the following is the function of the spleen in a healthy adult human? A, it stores bile produced in the liver. B, it synthesizes platelets. C, it degrades aged red blood cells. Or D, it's a vestigial organ.
I'm going to say it's C.
Okay, you got it correct.
The spleen
so you remember this much better.
The spleen is the body's vacuum cleaner.
That's correct. That's correct. So, and again, D, it's probably not going to be that because the spleen is still important for immune function.
It's still necessary, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that was a good one.
All right, the next one is, which of the following results from the immune system attacking an individual's own healthy tissue? So is it A, lupus, B, AIDS, C, asthma, or D, atherosclerosis?
That would be lupus, an autoimmune disorder.
That is correct.
Yay, I'm going to do so good on my TEAS exam.
Can you name any more autoimmune disorders?
Well, there's rheumatoid arthritis, Goodpasture syndrome. What else? I was just looking at some of these for future topics for the podcast. I think ulcerative colitis, Crohn's disease, those may be autoimmune as well. Yeah.
Inflammatory bowel, type 1 diabetes, multiple sclerosis.
Oh, yeah, multiple sclerosis.
So those attack healthy tissues. And so you can go through AIDS is a destruction of white blood cells. Mm-hmm. So that's not really attacking healthy tissues. Asthma is a result of an overactive immune response to an allergen. And I'm going to mess up. Atherosclerosis results from factors of smoking, cholesterol levels. So that's a buildup of fats and other substances in the artery walls. So again, nuggets within each question has little areas that you can dive off into and find out more information.
Yes, wealth of information in those rationales for sure.
Okay, I've got one last question for you. Let's see if you can get 100%. Okay.
I don't know. Okay, go.
Pancreatic secretions that aid in digestion of food are produced by which of the following type of cells? Islet alpha cells, islet beta cells, acinar cells, or sphincter cells?
I know it's not the beta cells because that's something else for, that's the body's insulin response. So I'm going to go with the alpha cells.
Oh, you got that one wrong.
Acinar cells.
That's correct. The acinar cells. And they're the site of production of the exocrine secretion of the pancreas.
Okay.
So alpha cells are the islets of Langerhans, are endocrine cells that produce the hormone glucagon.
Glucagon from the, good to know.
Yep. So they're responsible for production and release.
I did not get 100%.
I know. That was hard. So, but again, sphincter cells take that. I mean, it seems like D, all of them have D, which doesn't work, but there's always an easy one to take off. So the more you can take off that that aren't right, the better you're going to do and closer you're going to get.
Yes. Well, that was super fun, Tami.
It's not too bad. No, I couldn't do any reading. It was hard to do. I pretty much chose anatomy questions to do on a podcast, but that just gives you an idea. And anatomy does make up quite a bit of the science section.
Yes.
So.
Okay. Well, that's good for students to know to study.
Yes.
A lot on that. Okay, you guys. So again, I want you to go to the ATI website. I will put the links in the episode notes. Using that amazing discount code Straight A Nursing to get 15% off by November 30th, 2021. And I think that'll do it for us. Tami, do you have anything else to add that we didn't cover talking about the TEAS exam?
Gosh, I don't think so. Just good luck. And remember to, number one, before you do anything, check with your school and use your planner to write down dates and get all that information, and then study, plan out your time, the amount of time you have, and plan a retake in there just in case, plan to see what you can do, and just good luck to everybody on the TEAS.
Absolutely. I want to wish you all the best of luck as well. And a huge thank you to Tami and ATI for sponsoring today's episode.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thanks, Tami. So there you have it, you guys, your quick overview of the ATI TEAS exam and a great discount for my listeners. So make sure you check that out. I will put the link in the episode notes, and that promo code is Straight A Nursing, all one word. So I will see you back here next week. We will be diving into the nursing care of burns. So I'll see you soon. Bye for now. This podcast is brought to you by Straight A Nursing.